Um, There are three challenges I want to talk to you about before I turn it over to the staff. Part of the thing tonight is for you to get some eyeballs on who the staff people are that deal with specific issues within this town. You'll get to hear what they're doing. You're going to get an opportunity to talk to them if you have a particular problem in your neighborhood. And you're going to get a chance at the end of tonight to interface with them privately to talk about whatever it is that interests you. But the three items I want to talk about starts with traffic and transportation. I don't have to tell a person in this room that transportation in this city is at a standstill at certain times of the day. It's a nightmare. If you get to the freeway, you've seen it for the last couple of years going north. There are 19 TxDOT, Texas Highway Department projects that are taking place in League City presently. And those are being paid for predominantly for those of you who voted for Proposition 12, Propositions 1 and 7. TxDOT has $71 billion to improve Texas highways. You see the 4 lanes are what's turning into 8-lane highway along the Gulf Freeway. We just celebrated the Baton Pass that happened between the Sam Houston Tollway and the NASA bypass 2 weeks ago. And the baton got passed to us in this county because they are about to begin from NASA bypass and go all the way down to 517. They're going to expand the highway to 8 lanes. You'll see an additional lane added each way over Highway 518 and Highway 96. 646, the bridge will be taken out, and it will be much like every other overpass. If you think of it as north and south, it'll be going north and south, and there'll be an underpass under 646. And the purpose of all that is the expansion of the Houston port, which is being expanded because the Panama Canal expanded to handle the super tankers. Moving freight around this part of the country is about to become a big deal, and highways are adjusting to it. They are connecting the Port of Houston, Port of Texas City, Port of Galveston, and the Port of Freeport. And all the highways are going to lend themselves to moving freight, so that's coming. When you look at 646, that is where the Grand Parkway will come through our southern boundary. It will come out of Alvin. It'll parallel 517 and take a gentle move to the north so that it intersects at that big field you see that if you're going west on 646 right past the HEB, big power lines in it, big wide swath, that's where it will come in. There will be overpasses going south and north at that point. It will go on, it'll quit being a toll road at I-45, but will continue on to 646. There'll be an overpass ultimately over the railroad tracks along Highway 3, and 4 lanes will go all the way to 146, which is another interesting development. There's going to be a new section of 146 going all the way to Fred Hartman Bridge. It's going to be a high-speed thoroughfare. There won't be any traffic lights. It'll be elevated all through the city of Seabrook and come back to grade just around Red Bluff Road. There'll be an additional bridge segment other than what's already at the Kemah Bridge that will come over. And of course, the old Kemah Bridge will give an exit to 2094 and an entrance to get on that. When you look around town, we've had some nightmares that they'll talk about later tonight that we've been dealing with. Those of you that get frustrated with 5 corners, I can tell you last week they started breaking up concrete pads and they're moving that out of there. That will be a big shortcut to get over to 270 and hopefully get you down to the NASA bypass where you can get on the freeway, go north to Houston quickly, or if you're going south to Galveston. Calder Road has been a real mess. We've had a lot of challenges with that. We had a contractor, a stormwater contractor that got way behind, but they are back on the scene. We're getting all the utilities moved, and hopefully within the next 9 to 11 months, you'll see Calder Road as a major thoroughfare all the way down to 646 and then on to 517. But this place is growing like you absolutely couldn't believe. we passed almost a year and a half ago now, we passed the 100,000 person mark. We're now 103,000. 48% of our land area is yet to be developed, the entire southwest side of town, which is 3 major land tracts out there. 2 of them have already, or about 2.5 have already been bought, and we kind of have an idea what kind of development is going there. But when we look after the highways, the second biggest issue that faces us is water. We presently use about 25 million gallons a day to supply this city with water. And of that 25 million gallons a day, 85% of it comes from the Trinity River and comes down to any number of Houston purification plants. Ours just happens to go to the Southeast Texas plant, which is a joint venture with Houston and Pasadena. We started off this journey with the idea that maybe Pasadena might allow us to buy water, but I give a lot of credit to John Baumgartner, who had a different vision for that. It appears now that if we can work a deal, we may immediately get 10 million gallons a day, which is 15 million shy of what we need for build out, but also an opportunity to buy into that plant maybe in 15 to 20 years. And I always make this point when I talk to people. When I say that we use 25 million gallons a day and we have an opportunity for 10, it takes an oversized pipeline to come out of that plant down to League City. That is a $40 to $50 million expense that's still in front of us. And we're struggling and working hard to try to figure out how to make that happen. We've got lots of options ahead of us. But water is the heart of civilization. Without water, there is no growth, there is no development, there is no healthy community. So it is one of those things that we can't allow to sit. Wouldn't be fair to you to move here and have your families here and then not have water for you to drink or to bathe in. Now, we're looking at all kinds of ways to conserve that. Always interesting to me when experts talk to us that 70% of the water used in our community is used for irrigation. It's not used for personal consumption, but irrigation. And, you know, most of you know you may have a timer on your water deal, and it may run for a couple hours when in fact it really only needed to run for 30 minutes. And we're trying to define that to use the kind of equipment that will help you do a better job of conserving water without spending a lot of time worrying about it. So that's stuff in the future. It's good. Economic, 85% of that water comes from the Trinity River through Houston. The other 15% comes from the Brazos River, and it's floated down the old rice canals and goes to Texas City and then comes back up to serve some in the eastern and southern portions of the city. But water is a big issue. And I don't mention the numbers to scare you, only to let you know those are challenges we have in front of us that we're going to have to rise to. The third major thing that we're dealing with is economic development. 82% of the tax money that's derived to operate this city comes from each one of you through your ad valorem taxes at your house. We think we can diversify that tax base a little bit by going after light, non-polluting commercial development in this town. The highways create an excellent opportunity to do that without impacting the neighborhoods, which I think is the best possible scenario. So Scott Livingston, who you hear about tonight, and John will tell you, we're actively working the economic development aspects of this, trying to find people. We hope that the port produces some large customers for us. They're just getting started with their expansion. A lot of new companies will be coming to town. We're the largest land area on the south side of Houston, and we hope that's still available, and we hope to make use of that. We're thinking long-term from the standpoint, or at least I put it like this. If any of you are from here and you know West Houston exploded through the 60s and the 70s. It got to the point where it outpriced itself and people picked up and they moved farther out. And they went to Katy and they went to Sugar Land, and a whole new population moved into West Houston. We think the ideal community is that we can make 60% of our population goes to the northwest corridor of Houston to work. Think about that, 60%. We're working to get jobs here so people can live here, play here, raise their families here. When their kids go off to college, potentially there may be jobs to bring them back so families can stay together. They're not problems that I talk about. They are challenges. They're challenges of a city that is growing by leaps and bounds. When I moved here 40 some odd years ago, there were 6, 7, 8,000 people in this town. 103,000 today, and projected in the next 25 to 30 years, somewhere close to 250,000. I will tell you, this city council, probably as good as any ones that we have, are working together to rise to the challenges that are meeting us. And, you know, there's going to be some parts in this that are impacting you. I only ask for your patience because we're trying to get through them as quickly as possible. And for anybody that thinks we might be handing over the city to developers, make no mistake, we are not doing that. We're not dropping the standards that we've had, and we're holding them to it. Okay, that's my 9 yards. I'm only supposed to have 5 minutes, but I'm Irish and I don't do anything in 5 minutes. So let me introduce to you a guy that one of the hardest work, probably the hardest working guy in the city, and I'm proud of him. John Baumgartner was made city manager on 1st of February, I think, and has done an outstanding job. And all these people you see here work for him. So John, it's your show.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the 2017 Town Hall. I know you're all busy, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to come see us. This is a great opportunity for you to get to know our team. You know, the mayor says I'm the hardest working. That's not true. I've got lots of people that work hard for me. They're great people. They're committed to public service. You're going to get an opportunity to meet all the directors that work for the city, and then obviously they're all supported by great people that are also committed to public service. Each director will take a few minutes and will be presenting information about what they do and who they are, and this is an opportunity for you to take advantage of getting to know them. Our business cards will be available down the back table. I'm looking around. Front table, on the back table, everyone has a business card. Take them, call us. Again, as I said, one of my key commitments is providing world-class customer service. We're not perfect. We understand that. If something doesn't look right, feel right, call us, call the appropriate department, send me an email, give me a call. We will look at it and we'll get it addressed. As the mayor said, I'm John Baumgartner. I'm your city manager. I've been with League City for almost 5 years. August 1st, it will be 5 years. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited about what I do for the community. Again, as I said, I'm committed to providing public service. Just a real brief outline on kind of council manager form of government. You know, city council, mayor and city council establish direction and policy for the city as a whole. The mayor presides over the council meetings. The mayor and council, they appoint the city manager, the city attorney, the city auditor, the municipal judges. And then my role as city manager is to serve as a chief executive officer. You're only as good as the people that work for you. I've got a pretty easy job. I've got great people that work for me. I provide advice to the council. I'm responsible for implementation of the city council direction. I oversee the day-to-day operations of the city, including kind of one of the most important things we do as a city, and we develop an annual budget. The annual budget's one of the major policy statements. It's where we invest your tax dollars into making our community better. And I obviously report to the city council. The mayor took several of my speaking points, talk about core issues, and we'll go over them quickly because he took my 5 minutes too. Mobility is, you know, one of the big issues facing us. Water supply, economic development. One of the things he didn't touch on is fiscal responsibility. You know, living within our means. We're in the budget development process. We're bringing forward a budget for the council to consider and the community to look at. If you've got input in what we're doing good or what we're not doing good, please send me an email, call me up, let me know. We want to continue to improve our communications and transparency. We're working on an update to our website. We're working on improving Channel 16 programming. And then, you know, have a fairly active social media page now. We want to continue to improve transparency. Again, as I said, I'm committed to providing world-class customer service. Everybody at this table is committed to providing world-class customer service. We're working to improve that every day. And then lastly, we didn't talk much about, but, as I said, people are our most valuable asset, and taking care of our people is a big commitment for me as we move forward. Then just kind of update some just current events. Many of you have heard there's a tropical storm developed out in the Gulf. It is trending just to the east of us. We expect some impacts from that. Staff is ready with plans. We're going to get probably several inches of rain, and we'll be ready to respond to that. I think the current is that storm is going to hit sometime late tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, and will impact us certainly for the next 3 or 4 days. We're having our first fireworks show in a number of years, if not ever. I don't think ever is probably quite the right word for that. We're doing a fireworks event. We want to be first for the 4th, so we're doing it on July 3rd. It will start at 6 p.m. It'll go till 9:30 or 10 o'clock or so. There'll be some music. There'll be some entertainment for the kids. There'll be food trucks. And so if you're not doing anything on July 3rd, getting ready for the 4th, come on out to the Sportsplex and see that. And then on July 4th, we're going to have the annual Citizen Appreciation Day. That's we provide hot dogs, ices, drinks, popcorn. And we do that in League Park, and that starts at 11. I think it's 11 to 3. I'll look at my staff and see someone raise their head. Yes, 11 to 3. I'm doing good. And then tomorrow night, in this same building, we're having an update to the League Park redevelopment plan. That's a plan that's kind of gone through evolution as we've introduced the reinvestment program, which is reinvesting in Main Street, Park Avenue, and League Park to the community. Had some ideas early on. We met with some focus groups, and they have worked with us to develop a better plan. That's going to be again tomorrow night. We're still working on League City's best dog park. It's going to be at the Linger Pond Park, where the old sewage treatment plant. We would anticipate probably a ribbon cutting of that sometime late summer if we get the grass to grow fast enough. As long as we have water, we'll be able to do that. And then lastly, those of you who live in some of the subdivisions, we've struggled over the years with sidewalk repairs. The council last year devoted $9 million to reinvestment in existing city infrastructure. So our sidewalk repair replacement program is in full steam. We've invested $500,000 so far, looking to invest $1 million this year. If you've got sidewalk trip hazards, excesses, slope and stuff, again, send us an email and we'll get that on our list to move forward with those repairs. And then the other big program to come out of that people see right now is we're doing some asphalt street overlays. Most of those are in the older section of town. We've done 3 or 4 streets in the historic district. I got 2 or 3 more to go. We're working out in Shellside, and then we're working in the area between the railroad and Highway 3 and north of 518. And so those streets are coming forward to be improved. Again, that's an annual $2 million program. And so those of you who live in the older sections of town with the asphalt streets, that's a tremendous increase in the number of streets we had been doing in the past. And so, as the mayor said, I only have 5 minutes. I took my 5 and 5 of somebody else's, and we'll move on with the rest of the group. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, John. My name is Nim Doan, and I am the city attorney for the city of League City. I'm happy to be here today and give a brief explanation of what the functions are of my office. Like John was saying, he acts as the chief executive officer of this entity, and to borrow the same type of analogy for from the private sector to apply to my role, I serve in essence as the general counsel for this entity that we have. And we can break down the functions of my office into 3 main functions, and those would be the giving of legal advice to the various parts of the entity. The second main function would be transactional responsibilities. And the third would be some law enforcement duties, which is slightly different from what you might see general counsel do, but we take care of those as well. So under legal advice, I and my deputy city attorney, we provide legal advice, legal counsel to the members of city council, the mayor and the city council, Also the various boards and commissions of the city that we have, ranging from Planning and Zoning Commission, Zoning Board of Adjustments, Historic Commission, et cetera. Also provide legal counsel and advice to city administration, so city manager's office, the various directorates that we have. You know, it's a in-house staff position, and so that comes with it the benefits of always having an attorney on staff. And so I know in the not too distant past, the city of League City had outside counsel, which I always believe led to some hesitance in using legal services, because when the staff member has a legal question but you don't have an attorney on staff, you realize that every time you pick up the phone, then the meter starts running, and so that results in you know, not as ready use of legal services. And so I'm glad to say that being on board, being on staff, we're able to provide those services in-house, and hopefully resolve disputes and such more quickly, more proactively. So that leads me to the second part of the legal advice, which is the dispute management. Being on staff means that we're able to learn of potential legal complications, issues that arise if we have a construction contract where it seems like the contractor is getting delayed. We can get involved much earlier on and hopefully facilitate you know, that resolution before things go so bad that we have no choice but to, you know, end up ultimately at the courthouse. So that risk assessment and hopefully dispute resolution is a big benefit to avoid the expense of actual litigation, which, you know, typically is going to not benefit anyone. Can you go back one? I'm sorry. And so, but sometimes you have disputes that, you know, despite our best efforts, will result in litigation. And when that happens, then my office is also responsible for managing the outside litigators that we use to handle litigation when that happens. The second main responsibility that we handle in legal are transactional responsibilities, and transactional is really just a fancy word for document review. And really that's what this part is. It's looking over the various legal documents, legal instruments, you know, on a day-to-day basis. Everything from various contracts, and with that, it's negotiating them, reviewing them, drafting them, interpreting. If we have some old contract that now we think there might be issues with, we take a look at those. Real estate, real property instruments, deeds, would fall under this, that cover easements, right-of-way dedications, or deeds that allow us to own something in fee title. We also draft ordinances for adoption, consideration and adoption by City Council. The City Council, when it acts to approve ordinances or resolutions, and those instruments, those ordinances or resolutions, we are responsible for drafting as well. And then the third area of responsibility that we take care of are actually law enforcement duties. So the city of Lee City, and hopefully you in the audience, you're aware of this, not from personal experience, but we do have a municipal court. And so if you you know, get stopped by one of our fine officers and issued an invitation to come visit us in court, that's where you will see our prosecutor. We have a part-time prosecutor that handles those municipal court tickets. So anything from traffic violations, we have jurisdiction over Class C level misdemeanors under state law. Class Cs are those offenses, lowest level criminal offenses, punishable by fine only. So we have responsibility over those. Certainly city ordinances, some will carry with them criminal violation or penalties if you violate them. So animal at large, noise ordinance, you know, possessing fireworks, you know, within the city limits, that's prohibited as well by ordinance. And we recently became a municipal court of record, and so we now also handle appeals of any verdicts from our municipal court trials. And we haven't had any of those, fortunately, but we handle those now as well. And then we also function as the police legal advisor, so our enforcement officers, the police officers, will sometimes have questions on searches, seizures, whether a particular offense might be appropriate given a certain fact scenario, and we'll field those questions and answer those questions when we have those. And then lastly, the police department has its leadership, the police chief, the assistant chief. Sometimes they will have questions of us dealing with civil service, which is kind of a set of rules that cover and protect police officers, and so we'll handle those questions as well. And so those, in a very quick kind of 5-minute nutshell, are the main responsibilities that the city attorney's office handles. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Michelle Tressler, the city auditor, and I will do my best to try and make up a little bit of time here. So just to kind of quickly go over what having an auditor in-house can help ensure. I help ensure that the city is applying its resources effectively, efficiently, and economically, that we're in compliance with laws and contracts, that the city has adequate safeguards over its assets, that we ensure appropriate revenue management, the financial and operational information is reliable, that we've identified risk exposures and we've used effective strategies to control them. And so a lot of times when you think of audit, you think of financial, but having an internal auditor that covers every aspect of the city. So anything we do, I could go in and do an audit on. And my office is committed to adding value at every opportunity. So it's not just about trying to catch people doing something, it's also about trying to make the city run more efficiently. And I do have an annual audit plan that's approved by City Council every year. That is posted on the website if anyone's interested in any upcoming audits. And the reports are also available on our website. So once an audit is completed, there's a formal report written, and that's also posted online. And that's under the city auditor department, and you can see all those documents. We also have a fraud, waste, and abuse line, and you can there's a phone number, there's an email, you can fill out a form online, and that will come to me, but it will come anonymously. So if you ever have any concern of anything that's going on in the city that you think needs to be reported, this is one way to do it. So we're always open to if there's any issues you see out there. I'll also take a minute to make a plug for another kind of ongoing concern we have. League City has a sales tax rate of 8%. A lot of our neighboring cities are at 8.25%. So another thing you can contact me or anyone else at City about is if you find any businesses that are in League City limits that are charging the incorrect sales tax rate, to please let us know. And that is all I have.
Hello, I'm Diana Stapp. I'm your city secretary. Just wanted to briefly mention the purpose of the city secretary is to provide support, assistance, and information to the city council. We preserve the city records, and so the council, the city employees, and you, the residents, can have timely and convenient access to them. Our office also handles the election services to you, the voters, and candidates for the public involvement in the local governance. The city secretary is a chartered officer appointed by and directly reporting to the mayor and city council. And for you, the residents, again, we are your contact for public records. If there is any records that you desire, you can contact our office. We have a contact on the city website, and we will certainly try to get those records for you. And I'm gonna make it real quick.
Rebecca Underhill. I am the Assistant City Manager and Director of Finance. Effectively, I'm the CFO of this organization, and I'm glad to be here, proud to do it. I'm responsible for the functions you would expect a Chief Financial Officer to be responsible for. The accounting department, purchasing, utility billing, municipal court, and all those functions that go with that. I also, in my role as Assistant City Manager, have assist with the HR department and whatever else John Baumgartner tells me to do. We in the finance department, which is, you know, I came out of the finance world, so not that I love all my areas, but you know, finance is very important. We maintain the highest standards in the finance department, City of League City. I'm very proud to be a part of that. We have historically received distinguished honors from our professional association, the GFOA. We pride ourselves at the city on transparency. Our financial transparency website has every document you would want to find on the finances of the city, and we are an award-winning transparent city. This is my time to plug citizen involvement in the finance function. The city has a finance committee, if you were not aware. It's comprised of 7 members of the community like yourself and 2 members of council. They meet monthly. Their agendas and minutes are posted on the website if you'd like to go look and see what we've been up to in the finance committee. And I invite you to attend, volunteer to serve. We'd love to have you. And I think Mr. Baumgartner talked about the budget process. We are in the budget process right now. Stay tuned. The budget will be coming to council July the 10th, and we will be meeting throughout the summer to review the budget and have that in line and have it adopted by the first part of September. Next. Oh. It's fascinating.
Well, this is day 7 for me, so how long can I talk, actually? I will tell you, though, I love it here. I came from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I can tell you right now, that area has nothing on the City of League City. Top quality housing stock, fantastic opportunities in terms of retail, transportation problems, but you know, every city has warts. That's just the way it goes. But you have a smart and sharp team here that never slows down. I want you to know that. John has tasked me, Mr. Baumgartner's tasked me with transportation initiatives, supporting things such as the TxDOT projects and local programs, strategic planning and project implementation. Also working with the communications department, the public works and engineering departments, planning and development and economic development. So any contact or issues, please contact me. I'm there a lot of the time. Excellent customer service, superb customer service actually is also something that John insisted on, or I would not have made it through the selection process. And other than that, it's other duties as assigned. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Bridget Kramer and Brian Roller. We're co-interim directors of communication. I handle a lot of the government side and Brian handles the CVB side. Let me try to do 2 things at once. All right, we handle all internal and external communication. We do our online presence. I don't know if you know, all of those graphics that you see on that picture, everything that you see published is done in-house by either our graphic designer or someone on staff. We do City Matters. We are doing new videos daily almost now. We are also updating on Facebook pretty much daily. We have sent out multiple things about weather recently. So if you follow us on social media, we're trying to get that out there. A main part of what we do to provide 2-way communication with the citizens is we manage the 311 League City listens. This is very important. If you have a question and you don't know what 311 is yet, you can either call in to the city or you can go online and fill out a request form and track it. Each department has a manager over it, and they're supposed to respond to you within 3 days. They're supposed to close it out or at least have a new tracking number for you within 7. But this is by far your best avenue for 2-way communication with the city, is using 311. I'm going to turn it over to Brian for Commission number 3.
Thank you. I've been blessed with the task of developing a new Convention and Visitors Bureau here in the City of League City. And what we're working on right now is our research and planning, our product development. The main product that we want to do is invite visitors to come and visit our city. We have the Butler Longhorn Museum. We have a great hotels, including the South Shore Harbor Resort, where we're actually hosting about 300 members of the Texas Chamber of Commerce executives right now at a conference. We invite them to come, spend their money, and then go home. But while they're here, we treat them like kings and show them how we live League City style. We do that through taxes collected through the hotel occupancy collections, and that's money that's collected when you stay in a hotel, and we use that according to state statutes that are very strict on how we actually spend those. But we're always looking for opportunities to talk with our citizens about the organizations that they are involved in. Many of you travel with your professional organizations to other cities to meet. If you have ideas that you'd like your group to meet in our city, please come talk to me. We'd love to talk with that organization, bring them here, and show them how we do things here in League City.
How y'all doing this evening? My name is Gary Ratliff. I'm the Assistant Chief of Police at League City. Been here for 33 years, been the Assistant Chief for 11. Michael Cram is the Chief, and he was unable to attend tonight, so I'm here in his stead. Just a brief overview to kind of tell you how our department is organized. We have 4 bureaus. First bureau that you see of Captain John Butler oversees the Administrative Bureau. In his bureau, we have the Training Division, and we have the Community Outreach Division, and he is also oversees the SWAT team. In the Training Division, they are responsible for all in-house training as well as scheduling and booking all exterior training that happens outside of our department. They are also responsible for our recruiting. They're responsible for our testing of our new applicants. They're responsible for the background process and getting our new officers hired. Aside from that, they do everything they can to bolster the other positions that we have as well in telecommunications and detention officers. We have our Community Outreach Division, who pretty much handles everything that's outside events that are sponsored by the police department, such as National Night Out, Blue Santa program. They're also involved with the Citizens Police Academy and the Alumni Association. By the way, if anybody's interested in joining that, they do it twice a year. It's a 15-week program, and they pretty much provide you all the basics that an officer would go through in the academy, but in a shortened form. Then once they graduate from that process, they can become part of the Alumni Association and be involved in volunteer activities and things of that nature with the police department. The SWAT team is made up of a full tactical unit, 2 snipers, and a full negotiations team. And we are part of a combined agency response team that's probably one of the oldest in Texas, if not the country. It started in the early 90s, and we are made up of Pearland, Alvin, and League City. Then we have Captain Tony Hara, who is over the investigations division. He has the detectives, he has the regular case detectives, and he has the CIU unit. CIU unit is the community impact unit, and they respond to crime trends, active crime trends that are occurring at this time, and they also investigate narcotics investigations. the detectives, the regular case detectives handle pretty much the rest of the cases that come into that division. He is also over the Special Operations Unit, which is the traffic division. Most of the traffic division is made up of marked and unmarked units that work, as well as our commercial motor vehicle enforcement officers. Most of what they do is a response to complaints from citizens across the city about things that are happening in their neighborhood. We got speeding vehicles, we got vehicles that are running stop signs, we have those kinds of complaints that come in. And that's pretty much what they're doing most of the time, aside from working traffic accidents. So if you ever have a problem in your neighborhood, want to contact somebody, feel free to contact me and I'll put you in contact with the right people. He is also over animal control, and that is pretty much Captain Harris' responsibilities. And then we have Captain James Spencer, who's over Operations Bureau, which is the largest bureau in the department, pretty much contained with patrol and the jail. The patrol division is separated into 4 shifts. We run 12-hour shifts, and we have 3 sergeants on each shift. We have a lieutenant assigned to each shift, and then the jail has a lieutenant over it and a sergeant over each shift that's responsible for the jail. Then we have the Support Services Bureau, which is Daryl Kellerman, who's the commander over that unit. And he is in charge of our grid, which is we have over 40 agencies that are feeding off of our computer system, which allows us to share a lot of resources with a lot of agencies, including information. He is also over the Records Division and the Communications Division. And anything that you have as far as issues, when you call in to the police department, you're going to get one of his people in the telecommunications. All of our police service is derived from our mission statement. The League City Police Department is devoted to protecting life, property, and individual liberties while enhancing the quality of life. To achieve these ends, we are committed to forming and promoting practical partnerships with each other and those we serve. This is just to give you a brief overview of the entire department. We have 126 commissioned officer positions. We have 47 non-commissioned personnel, which consist of the dispatchers, the jailers, and the records people, as well as the office assistants and our evidence techs. Last year, in the year 2016, we had 39,938 calls for service, 17,884 traffic stops, 1,205 commercial motor vehicle inspections, 6,366 offense reports, 4,211 arrests, and 2,052 accidents. Our city is divided up into 5 different beats. Every 6 months, the officers will do a shift pick. You will pretty much have the same officers, depending on the date and the time, for a 6-month time period wherever it is that you live. If you'd like to know who those officers are for your beat, you're more than welcome to contact us and we'll provide that information for you. If you have any questions at all that have to do with the police department, you can either get with me after this question and answer session, or you can contact me at the police department either via email or by phone. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Scott Livingston. I'm the Director of Economic Development. So on this slide up here, it says proportion, excuse me, of League City's tax base. Basically the proportion, about 20% residential, 80% commercial. Excuse me, I got it backwards. Sorry, y'all. 80% residential, 20% commercial. But you can tell the way I think. I want to flip the table and provide more of our tax base, which is borne by commercial property owners and so forth. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so one of the things is you think about the people that live in League City, basically 100,000 people, 45,000 of those individuals work full-time. Of those, you can't read it, but basically it says there are 5,000 of our citizens who work full-time and they stay in the city for their primary employment. So 40,000 of them leave the city every day. Now, it doesn't mean they go to San Leon. It just means they leave the city every day for their primary employment. Now, where are they going? You know, the mayor said they go to the Northwest, and that's where he gets this. This is put together by the Texas Workforce Commission, and basically it shows the travel patterns of our citizens who have full-time employment. And it shows that a lot of them, about 65%, go northwest toward downtown Houston. A lot of them go north, probably to Clear Lake or NASA. Some of them go down toward UTMB and Galveston. Some go up toward the petrochemical areas in eastern Harris County. Well, one of the things about League City is within a 45-minute drive of League City, we have 900,000. You add all these up, we have 900,000 highly trained professionals in these industries, aerospace, medical life sciences, and so forth. The idea is instead of all of our people leaving town every day and having to drive 45 and 50 minutes or an hour and a half to their job, why not bring those jobs to League City so that our citizens will have a shorter commute time and so that we become a center of commerce and trade? That's the idea. In terms of economic development benefits, what do? Well, we seek to create and retain quality, high-paying jobs. We seek to minimize the tax burden on residential taxpayers. We try to bring in more business and industry to increase the amount of our tax base, which is borne by commercial. We provide tax revenue for city services and infrastructure. We provide places to live, work, shop, eat, and play. We seek to improve a healthy tax base. We seek to stimulate entrepreneurism, innovation, research and development, and education. and we promote the investment of public funds to receive a direct financial and multiplicative return on investment. Next slide. This is my last slide, but in closing, I'm scheduled to give a more in-depth and a longer presentation to the City Council in a work session on Monday, June the 26th. So if you'd like to see more than 4 slides, please come and visit the work session. But with this slide, I have a challenge to you guys. We have a lot of highly educated, professional people in League City. If you know of a company, or if you work for a company that would consider relocating to League City, please pick up my card, and I'm serious. You would not believe the number of people that I meet with NASA or with petrochemical companies. I met one today. And basically, I'd like to work with you to bring some of those companies to League City, cut down your commute, diversify our tax base, bring in more revenue and jobs. Why? Because in League City, the backdrop, we explore the limits of outer space and inner space. We have all these great assets here in the community, including a rich heritage, and that's no bull. Talking about the Butler Longhorn Museum. Thank you very much.
My name is Gary Warren, and I am your fire chief here in League City. And I'm very privileged to be associated with 4 different public safety departments in League City. And starting with the largest one, which is the fire department, it has 130 volunteer firefighters in it. So if you ever wanted to know how many paid firefighters there are, you're looking at him right here. We do have 2 other employees. We have a quartermaster and an administrative assistant, but this department is all volunteer. And if that isn't amazing enough in a city this size, I do want to brag on them a little bit. Since 2010, which is the last time we had our fire protection rating tested by an outside company, things have changed here. The water system has improved. The dispatch center has improved. The preparation for emergencies has improved. And we just this last year in 2016 had them come out and measure our fire protection ability once again. And when they got through measuring, they gave us the top rating that you can possibly get for a fire department. And that's good. That's exceptionally good. But at the same time, I will tell you, there's probably not, can't guarantee it, but everybody's pretty sure this is the only all-volunteer fire department in the state of Texas that has the top fire protection rating for their city. So I wanted to brag about that. The other thing I want to brag about is in 2015 when I got here, I did all the statistics and found out that the average response time for the fire department was 9 minutes and 10 seconds. And so that's not bad, but I knew they could do better. So I challenged the firefighters to increase that to about 7 minutes. And they told me, oh, that's impossible. That's too hard. That's not the way we do things here. But I challenged them with it, and I talked to them about ways to do it. We made some changes on how we deploy things. And I'm just happy to report that back in the month of May, just last month, their average response time was 7 minutes and 2 seconds, which is just exactly what I told them they could do. Now, the 4 departments that I have is fire department, fire marshal's office, the EMS service, and then also the Office of Emergency Management. Fire marshal's office is more on the preventive side. We try to cover before you have your emergency, during your emergency, and after your emergency. And the fire marshal's office is part of that before the emergency team. They enforce the requirements of the building code and the requirements of the fire code, and they also try to stop people from starting fires on purpose. And you can see they have they have 5 fire marshals and an administrative assistant, and they do a really good job. And then the next group, which is EMS. EMS is, they're all paid. The fire marshal's office is all paid. And the EMS service is where we have our paramedics and our EMTs that come out to all of your medical emergencies. We have 5 ambulances. 3 of them are on duty 24 hours a day. And 1 of them is for when we have peak demand periods, and then we have another one to work as a reserve. They have all kinds of other vehicles that are able to take care of mass casualties when we have accidents that injure a large number of people. And then they also have their what they call carts, which are their all-terrain vehicles that they drive around at all the special events to make sure everybody stays safe. So there are some of the people that we respond during your emergency, along with the firefighters. Next, we have the Office of Emergency Management, which is very busy today. I think that he's given out an update at least 5 times today, probably one more before we go to bed, and it's over Tropical Storm Cindy, which is headed our way, and he's keeping us up to date so we'll know what kind of things to prepare for that emergency. He has a place over in the Public Safety Building where they have the Emergency Operations Center, and if Cindy turns into a really bad storm that's going to do some bad things, many of us will be spending the night there at the Emergency Operations Center. That's what that picture is right there. It allows us to stay in touch with all the news centers, all the TV stations, the state, the federal government, and the National Weather Service, and we can try to take care of everything we can, predict it, and prepare for it. And the next is Gabe. You ready? If you need anything, you know anything about public safety, you need to get my card. It's in the back, and just give me a call.
Good evening. My name's Gabriel Menendez. I'm the Director of Public Works for League City. I am the 12th speaker, which means that I should be speaking till 7 o'clock, which is only 5 minutes away, so we're right on time. Next slide, please. Who are we? Basically, our department consists of engineering, the engineering department, streets and drainage department, fleet, water, wastewater, line repair, solid waste, and of course we are part of the emergency response team for the city as well in helping them recover from those emergencies. Our mission is up here. It's basically, we strive to enhance the quality of life for all residents by providing a reliable, safe, and cost-effective services consistent with community goals and objectives as approved by the City Council. And as was mentioned earlier, and anything else John wants us to do. Our guiding principles are up there as well. They are safety, quality, efficiency, and our and ownership of our infrastructure. We are organized. The Public Works Department is organized as you see up here. We have a total of 147 employees spread out through the different areas. But we basically touch every area of life. You want water? We work with the water, wastewater, streets, sidewalks, storm sewers. We basically address all those issues. We have a capital program that's very aggressive. We strive to reach about $35 to $50 million a year on the capital program. We have 63 traffic signals that we also serve. Of those 63, only five are not on a state highway. So we coordinate very closely with the DOT to try and address those issues. And anytime we have changes or traffic improvements or other type improvements, I-45 is a good example. Those signals under I-45 were changed in order to support that construction and created some problems early on. We have worked with the DOT and straightened those issues out as best as we can under the circumstances. So that's basically who we are. Any questions, please feel free to give me a call. If you're curious about anything else that we're doing, please let me know. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Janet Shirley, and I'm the Director of HR. So I've been here for about 4 months, and if you look up and down these tables here, basically those are the departments that I support. The other challenge I have is I'm a little bit vertically challenged, so I'm going to stand off to the side here, as I can see my coworkers laughing. But in any case, this is our team. We have a total of 7 of us. I'm happy to report you see a vacant slot there that I've actually just recently filled and am anxiously anticipating that person to join the team in mid-July. And so in addition to that, one of the people on my team is actually someone that you would probably see as you enter City Hall. We affectionately call her the First Impressions and Directory Assistant. So she basically will greet you, which is pretty appropriate for human resources, right? So she is right there at City Hall, very friendly. She is very knowledgeable, so if you ever have any questions, she's probably your first person that you would reach out to. So I focus on 3 areas, and those focus areas right here, I like to keep it pretty positive, is to attract, develop, engage, and retain our employees. Very important stuff. You heard John talk about it today, in that basically people are our most important resource here, because at the end of the day, those are the people that help the city and help you as our citizens, and as well as myself. So when you think about attracting people, we talk about recruitment. We're looking to expand that from passive recruitment, looking at other websites, potentially look at local career fairs, really kind of expanding our search as opposed to just posting the positions. When you see testing, we do assist the police department with the civil service exam that's happening twice a year. And then from a development standpoint, this is an area that I love to focus on. It's with developing our employees, because everybody wants to develop, and you want to have an opportunity to grow. And from there, that's going to get you the ability to engage them, retain them, and really kind of do the job that you want them to do, especially in a city that's growing like League City. So that's pretty much it. Next, we've got Jen.
Chin Wade, Director of Parks and Cultural Services, been with the city since 1993, capacity of director since 2006. Besides a great school district in CCISD, we feel that the programs and services that we provide contribute to some of the decision making when families look to move to a community like League City. We've got a great library, we've got excellent parks, we've got miles and miles of hike and bike trails that contribute to outdoor recreational lifestyle. Parks and Recreation Department is one of our departments in our directorate. They provide aquatic programs, youth programs, adults and senior programs, special events, and parks and civic center rentals. I put together some numbers, so I may take my full 5 minutes to pass on this information to you. Total participants in 2016 increased 21% from 52,000 to 63,000. Civic center rentals of this building increased 27% from 700 to 889. The department provides over 80 recreation programs. We continue to add new programs based on our citizens' needs. Just to highlight a few of them: Kids Day Out, Homeschool PE, Family Fun Day for individuals with special needs, Indoor Youth Volleyball, and Pickleball tournaments. Parks operations. Our staff don't just mow grass, they also, within their scope, have ball field maintenance, janitorial, building maintenance, electrical, mechanical maintenance, ground maintenance of our parks and city facilities, and updating our existing park system. We have 15 parks, 2 municipal pools, 1 boat ramp. We have over 409 acres of developed parkland and 9.8 miles of trails that our staff maintain. We also work hand in hand with our Parks Board, which is volunteers appointed by our city. We work on working out issues and working hand in hand and working to create a bigger and better park system. And I think we have a couple of Parks Board members here tonight, Ms. Joanna Dawson and Ms. Vanessa Hamilton. We also work with the 4B, Sectional 4B, which is a board that oversees the funding mechanism according to sales tax on future park projects. And we also work with patrons of the Park Foundation, which is a 501c3, helping to support future parks. We had over 488,000 scheduled park visitors in 2016. We spent $262,000 in updating our existing parks, and we are currently just completed our survey for updating our Parks Master Plan and our Trails Plan. And that will be presented in a joint meeting to Parks Board and the 4B Board in an upcoming July meeting, July 17th, I believe, and we'll be presenting to City Council shortly in September. Hamilton Hall Library, which is down the street, also provides advanced programs for children, teens, and adults. It has a local history room, has a large volunteer base, and we also recently created a used bookstore in the library. We work with the library board on a strategic plan and issues with the library, and also there's a 501c3 Friends of the Hamilton Hall Library to provide support and fundraising for future library projects. Over 34,000 registered borrowers in 2016, 246,000 patrons visited the library, over 717 items checked out in 2016. Library recently celebrated its 45th birthday. The library houses over 204,000 print and non-print materials. We provided over 514 programs in 2016, and it is the busiest library in Galveston County. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but there's quite a bit of construction going on across town. Don't blame me, but we do facilitate most of that. My operations that I oversee or lead, generally, in a nutshell, the planning of new commercial and residential development, the permitting and inspection of such, and then once it's constructed and occupied, the sustainability of that, all in an effort to maintain that high quality of life that we come to expect here in League City. Again, we do that over the course of 4 functions that I oversee, 35 full-time employees, all very dedicated. These aren't jobs, these are careers for these folks. Building inspections, again, that is submit a building permit to the city, whether residential, commercial, and then all the commercial, again, all the commercial development that we have, we cycle through and are constructing, I think as the mayor said, somewhere between 900 and 1,000 new homes a year, every year in League City, and then all the commercial that comes with it. Neighborhood services, that's the sustainability end of it. That's a broader term for code compliance, and I want to emphasize compliance. A lot of other cities emphasize enforcement. The goal, if you have grass that may be overgrown, you might have a junk vehicle in your yard or in your neighborhood, the goal is not to show up and issue a citation. The goal is to show up and say, hey, how can we help you get this into compliance? So from that standpoint, while we have very professional folks in neighborhood services, I do hope that you probably don't ever have to meet them. But if you do, they're very professional and they're there to help you. Then again, planning department, generally administer the city's zoning ordinance. Where our city, like a lot of other cities, divided up into commercial zones, residential zones. The subdivision ordinance, so all of that infrastructure that gets put into the ground, how they divide up the lots before they get built upon. A lot of that stuff cycles through both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council. Some of my priorities, positive relationship with the development community and a fair and efficient permitting process. Those 2 things have come, in my opinion, light years over the last few years. It's not perfect, but we're certainly, we've come a long way in the last few years, and we're continuing to improve that. Again, proactive, not reactive, code compliance efforts. Again, all in an effort to sustain the high quality of the neighborhoods that all of you have invested in moving to League City. I work closely with Scott, economic development. Of course, economic development and planning go hand in hand. It's all about diversifying the tax base, sustaining the high quality of life here. Some of the projects we got going on, as we've heard already, Main Street development revitalization, meeting tomorrow night. The council's going to hear another piece of that project at their meeting on Monday night. We staff a number of the boards and commissions that the city has: Planning and Zoning Commission, Board of Adjustment, Historic Commission. And And then again, just balancing those private property rights. You know, a lot of us, including myself sometimes, I'm a resident, like to see, you know, sometimes the door shut behind us. We can't do that. But then to facilitate that high quality, sustainable development that we come to expect here. And then leadership. Do my best to provide, you know, a servant leadership attitude throughout my group. I think that that's the best form of leadership, particularly in public service. I feel personally, the 35 employees that work under me, their job or their role is not to serve my needs. It's actually the opposite. My job is to serve theirs, and so they can carry out their jobs the best they can. Just some demographics. I do have a degree in geography, so I apologize. Our city, and I'll have a map that goes with this, 55 square miles. We're not just 3.5 miles. We're not just 3 exits on I-45. We are 14 miles east to west. And so we border Alvin to the west. We border, and we have territory that actually goes out to the bay. On the east, population's north of 100. Our build-out population is somewhere double that. And I'll show you a map here in a second. And that's based on our available land and our growth rate, and we're a relatively affluent community. So just to wrap up, I don't know if that's green or yellow. And those of you that have seen this map before, please don't answer. But does anybody know what those kind of green, yellow areas represent? And this is a map of our city. And I'm not looking behind me. So this map represents all the vacant tracts of land in League City. And so you'll see all of that land west of I-45. And so when you hear the mayor talk about our population, or the city manager talk about our need for water, this is kind of the starting point. We know that this represents League City being about 52% built out. So 48% of our land is vacant, available for development. And so this is kind of where it all starts. So anybody has any questions for me, I'll be here, and thanks for allowing me to speak to you this evening.
Forgot about me, huh? You'll get the mic back. Hi, I'm Ryan Smith, Director of IT and Facilities. Next slide. So my staff and statistics, we cover we have 14 employees that are on call 24/7. So when you go to bed, my guys are still supporting the city. We have about 66 buildings, approximately 9,300 help desk tickets, 600 desktops, 125 laptops that police, fire, and EMS use. We just EMS, Gary's crew was the first to go to Microsoft Surfaces in their ambulances at a $3,500 savings per device. Gave you money back, Becky. 100 servers that are housed virtually and physically across the street at the Public Safety Building. Next slide. My crew also runs the back end of Channel 16 and live streaming of the council meetings and any other meetings in this room and in the council chambers. We're responsible for all security and building access. We do have Wi-Fi at most city buildings and city facilities, cover fire and burglar alarms, ticket writers that the police department uses, water meters that communicate to 3 towers within the city. The police department has 3 license plate recognition on 5 police cars, which means these cars have 5 cameras on them. They drive around town and can tell if you have warrants or if the car is stolen. We also support the radio communications, which is the tower right there, that supports about 400 radios that Public Safety and Public Works utilize. We support the phone system, public safety communications, how those cars communicate, fiber optic communications, private and city-owned. We partner with Gabe's crew for traffic integration. Some are fiber and wireless integrated. City cameras, all building security in this building, City Hall, Public Safety Building. Next slide, the new financial system that we just went to after approximately 25 years, Munis Technologies, has given Becky and I gray hair. But we're in the middle of implementing utility billing, so those of you that do not like the utility billing current software, the new one will roll out April of 2018. To tether on what Chief Ratliff said, the public safety software we utilize, they just changed names, Superion OSSI. We're a consortium of 20 agencies. I think Chief Ratliff said 40 agencies. It's 20 municipalities that we go all the way from Sugar Land to LaPorte to Deer Park to the island that all integrate, so the criminals cannot get away from us. So I think Gary and I started this probably 15 years ago, and it's been a huge success. Parks and Rec, Chin's group uses Vermont Systems. When I started here, they used to stand in the park and handwrite fill applications out in the rain. Municipal Court uses Tyler Technologies. Public Works is migrating from Superion and City Tech to Tyler Technologies. The Fire Chiefs Group uses Firehouse software. And there was one other thing. Yep, I think that's it. Thank y'all very much.
Okay.